take a moment with me and breathe. Not the rushed kind of breath we take when we're busy, but a slow, gentle one. Because what we're about to talk about isn't about fear, decline, or counting years. It's about something far more powerful. It's about noticing the quiet, everyday signs that your body and mind may actually be doing better than you've been led to believe. You see, once people pass a certain age, especially after 60 or 70, society starts lowering expectations for them. Friends joke about forgetting names. Doctors casually mention that's just age. Even family members sometimes speak slowly, as if wisdom has faded along with strength. Over time, many older adults start to accept these assumptions without questioning them. They assume stiffness is unavoidable. They assume tiredness is normal. They assume curiosity should fade. But here's the truth that rarely gets said out loud. Aging doesn't happen at the same speed for everyone. And for many people watching this right now, aging is happening far more gently than average. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or even late 70s, and there are certain small, ordinary things you still do without thinking much about them, those things may be quiet proof that your body and mind are aging better than most 80-year-olds. Not in a dramatic, headline-making way, but in a real, lived, everyday way that matters far more. Let's start with something very simple. Think about how you get up from a chair. Not a fancy recliner or one with handles, just a regular chair. Do you lean forward, plant your feet, and stand up without having to push hard with your hands? Maybe you don't even think about it. You just stand. If that sounds like you, that's not something to brush off. That movement requires leg strength, balance, coordination, and confidence. By the time many people reach their 80s, standing up becomes a slow, deliberate process, often needing armrests or assistance. If you can still rise smoothly, that's a powerful sign that your muscles and nervous system are working together well. What's even more important is how natural it feels. When your body is aging well, movements don't feel like a negotiation. You don't have to talk yourself into them. You don't feel afraid of losing balance. You trust your body. That trust is earned over years of staying active in small ways. Walking, bending, carrying groceries, even just moving around the house regularly. These everyday actions quietly protect your independence far more than any extreme exercise routine ever could. Now think about how you walk. Not how fast, but how steady. When you walk down a hallway, on a sidewalk, or across a room, do you feel grounded? Or do you feel like you need to watch every step? Balance is one of the first things to quietly decline with age, and many people don't realize it until they've already had a fall. If you can walk without shuffling your feet, without feeling dizzy when you turn your head, and without gripping walls or furniture, that's another strong signal that your inner balance systems are still sharp. Balance isn't just about muscles. It's about your inner ear, your eyesight, your reaction time, and your brain all communicating clearly. When that system works smoothly, it shows that your aging process is not only slower, but better coordinated. And coordination is a gift that often lasts longer in people who stay mentally engaged and physically active in everyday life. Let's talk about your hands for a moment. Think about simple tasks: buttoning a shirt, holding a cup without spilling, writing a note, using a phone, opening a jar. If your hands still feel responsive, if your fingers do what you ask them to do without frustration, that's another sign of healthy aging. Fine motor skills often decline quietly, and many older adults adapt without realizing how much function they've lost. They avoid buttons. They stop writing. They ask for help opening things. If you haven't had to give up these small tasks, your nerves and joints are serving you well. And here's something people rarely talk about. How does your body feel when you wake up in the morning? Yes, a little stiffness is common. But does it ease once you move? Or do you feel locked into pain for hours? Many people in their 80s wake up already exhausted, already hurting, already dreading movement. If you can stretch, swing your legs out of bed, and gradually feel more comfortable as the morning goes on, your body is responding the way it's meant to. That ability to warm up is a sign that your joints, muscles, and circulation are still resilient. Resilience is a word we often use for emotional strength, but it applies just as much to the body. A resilient body recovers faster. It adapts. It doesn't collapse under small stresses, and that's exactly what good aging looks like. Now let's shift from the body to the mind, because aging well is never just physical. Think about your curiosity. When you hear about something new, do you still feel a spark of interest? Maybe it's a news story, a new device, a recipe, or a different way of thinking. Do you feel annoyed by new things, or do you feel open, even if cautious? Mental flexibility is one of the clearest markers of healthy aging. Many people become mentally rigid long before their bodies slow down. They stop learning. They stop questioning. They stop listening. If you're still curious, still willing to learn, still able to say, "I didn't know that," your brain is staying young in the ways that matter most. Memory is another area where people are often too hard on themselves. Forgetting where you put your keys or walking into a room and forgetting why happens at every age. What matters more is whether you can follow conversations, recall stories, understand new ideas, and connect past experiences to present situations. If you can sit through a conversation, a video, or a book and truly engage with it, that's a strong sign of cognitive health. Many 80-year-olds struggle not because they've lost intelligence, but because their attention and processing speed have slowed. If you're still mentally present, still able to focus, that's worth appreciating. Let's talk about emotional regulation, because this is an area where aging can actually bring improvement rather than decline. How do you handle frustration now compared to when you were younger? Many people find that as they age, they become calmer, more patient, and less reactive. If you don't get as angry over small things, if you can let go of minor annoyances, if you recover emotionally faster after a bad day, that's not weakness. That's emotional strength. And it's a sign of maturity that many people never reach, even in old age. In fact, emotional balance often improves in people who age well. They stop trying to control everything. They accept what they can't change. They focus more on peace than on proving a point, if that sounds like you. Your nervous system is likely healthier than you think. Chronic stress accelerates aging in every system of the body. Calmness, perspective, and emotional flexibility slow it down. Now think about your sleep. Not whether it's perfect, but whether it's restorative. Do you eventually fall asleep without constant worry? Do you wake up feeling at least somewhat rested? Or do you toss and turn all night, mind racing, body tense? Sleep problems become extremely common in the 80s, especially when anxiety, pain, or poor routines take over. If your sleep still gives you a chance to recover, even if it's not ideal every night, your body's rhythms are still working in your favor. Another everyday sign that often gets overlooked is appetite. Do you still enjoy food? Do you feel hunger and fullness cues? Many older adults lose their appetite, not because they don't need food, but because their senses dull and their digestion slows. If you still enjoy meals, flavors, and the act of eating, your digestive system and sensory nerves are still doing their job well. That enjoyment of food isn't indulgence. It's a signal of vitality. Let's not forget social connection. This doesn't mean you need a large group of friends or constant social activity. It means you still value connection. You still enjoy talking to someone, sharing stories, laughing, or simply sitting together in silence. Loneliness accelerates aging faster than almost anything else. If you still feel emotionally connected to at least one or two people, whether family, friends, or neighbors, that connection acts like medicine for the brain and heart. And here's a subtle but powerful sign that many people miss. Do you still feel a sense of purpose, even in small ways? Maybe it's taking care of your home, helping someone, offering advice, or simply being present for others. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be real. People who age well often wake up with a reason to engage with the day, even if that reason is simple. Without purpose, the body and mind slowly shut down. With purpose, they stay awake. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, I do some of these things, but not all. That's perfectly normal. Aging well is not about perfection. It's about patterns. If several of these everyday signs feel familiar to you, then your body and mind are likely functioning at a level that many people don't reach even in their early 80s. And the most important part is this. These signs are not just evidence of the past. They are predictors of the future. What you can still do today tells you a lot about what you may still be able to do tomorrow. And the fact that you're here, listening, reflecting, and paying attention already places you in a group of people who care about their well-being. That awareness alone is a powerful form of prevention. As we continue, we'll explore more of these quiet, everyday indicators. Some may surprise you, some may reassure you, and some may gently encourage you to protect what you already have. Because aging better isn't about revering time. It's about working with your body and mind, respecting them, and recognizing the strength that's already there. So stay with me. There's more to uncover, and what comes next may help you see yourself in a whole new light. Let's keep going, gently, without rushing, because the signs we're talking about don't shout. They whisper. And the people who age the best are often the ones who learn to listen to those whispers before they turn into warnings. I want you to think now about how your body responds after effort. Not extreme effort, not running a marathon or lifting heavy weights, but everyday effort. Maybe you walk a little farther than usual. Maybe you spend time cleaning, gardening, or standing in the kitchen cooking a full meal. When you sit down afterward, how does your body feel? Tired, yes. But does it feel like a healthy tired, the kind that fades with rest? Or does it feel like deep exhaustion that lingers for days? Many people in their 80s experience delayed recovery. A simple outing can wipe them out completely. If your body still bounces back within a reasonable time, that's a major sign of good aging. Recovery is often more important than strength itself. A body that recovers well can adapt, repair, and keep going. That ability comes from circulation, muscle health, hormone balance, and nervous system stability, all things that don't disappear overnight. They fade slowly, unless they're supported. Now notice how you breathe during the day. Not when you're anxious, but during ordinary moments. Are your breaths relatively deep and calm, or shallow and rushed? Many older adults develop shallow breathing patterns without realizing it, especially if they've lived with stress for decades. Shallow breathing limits oxygen, strains the heart, and increases fatigue. If your breathing naturally settles into a steady rhythm when you're at rest, your body is still regulating itself efficiently. That's another quiet sign that your systems are communicating well with each other. Let's talk about posture for a moment. Not perfect posture, not standing like a soldier, but natural alignment. When you walk or sit, do you feel relatively upright? Or do you feel collapsed, hunched forward, head jutting out, shoulders rounded? Severe posture collapse is very common by the 80s, and it's not just about appearance. It affects breathing, digestion, balance, and even mood. If you can still sit and stand with a sense of openness in your chest and ease in your spine, your muscles are still supporting you rather than fighting gravity all day. Posture is also connected to confidence. People who age well tend to take up space comfortably. They don't shrink themselves unnecessarily. They move with intention rather than hesitation. That doesn't mean being bold or loud. It means trusting your presence. If you walk into a room and don't feel the need to apologize for existing, that's emotional and physical health working together. Now let's shift to something deeply personal, how you experience pain. Pain is common as we age, but suffering is not the same thing. Do you experience discomfort that you can manage, adapt to, and live around? Or does pain dominate your attention and drain your energy constantly? Many people in their 80s live in a state of ongoing pain that colors everything they do. If pain doesn't rule your day, if you can still enjoy moments even when your body isn't perfect, that's a sign of resilience. It means your nervous system hasn't become overwhelmed. Resilience also shows up in how you respond to setbacks. When something goes wrong, an appointment gets canceled, plans change, the weather ruins your day, how do you respond? Do you spiral or do you adjust? The ability to adapt emotionally is one of the strongest predictors of aging well. Rigid minds suffer more than flexible bodies. If you can pivot, laugh it off, or find another way, your brain is staying nimble. Now think about your senses. Your eyesight, hearing, taste, smell. They may not be as sharp as they once were, and that's normal. But are they still functional enough to let you enjoy life? Can you read, watch, listen, and taste with pleasure? Many people in advanced age withdraw not because they don't want connection, but because sensory loss makes the world exhausting. If your senses still invite you outward instead of pushing you inward, that's another sign that your aging process is kinder than average. Let's talk about decision-making. Do you still feel capable of making choices for yourself? Even small ones? What to wear, what to eat, how to spend your day? Loss of agency often begins subtly. Others start deciding what's best for you. If you still feel mentally clear enough to trust your own judgment, that clarity is precious. It means your cognitive independence is intact. Many people lose this not because they must, but because they slowly hand it over. Holding on to it is a form of mental strength. Another everyday sign that often goes unnoticed is how you handle technology. You don't need to love it. You don't need to master it. But can you use it enough to stay connected? Make a call, send a message, watch a video, look something up. Many people in their 80s feel completely shut out of the modern world, and that isolation accelerates decline. If you can engage with technology at your own pace, that adaptability shows your brain is still learning, still adjusting, still alive. Now let's talk about humor. Do you still laugh? Not polite laughter, but real laughter. Can you see the absurdity in life, including your own quirks? Humor requires perspective, timing, and emotional balance. People who age well often develop a gentler sense of humor. They don't take themselves as seriously. If you can still laugh at small mistakes, at the unpredictability of life, that lightness is a powerful protective factor against stress and depression. Consider also how you relate to your past. Do you feel trapped by regrets, or do you see your life as a story with chapters, some hard, some beautiful? Many people in old age get stuck replaying what went wrong. That mental loop keeps the nervous system in a state of tension. If you can acknowledge your past without being consumed by it, your emotional health is strong. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It means peace. Now let's look at your daily rhythms. Do you have some structure to your day, even loosely? Wake up, meals, activity, rest? Or does every day blur into the next? Structure gives the brain a sense of safety. People who age better often maintain simple routines that anchor them. Not rigid schedules, but familiar patterns. If your days have a rhythm, your body clock is still working with you rather than against you. Another sign that deserves attention is how you speak to yourself. When something goes wrong, do you criticize yourself harshly or do you respond with patience? Self-compassion is not weakness. It's a survival skill. Many people grow older carrying a lifetime of self-judgment, and that inner voice becomes heavier with time. If you've learned to be kinder to yourself, that emotional shift supports physical health as well. Stress hormones decrease. Healing improves. Sleep deepens. Let's talk about gratitude, not as a forced practice, but as a natural response. Do you still notice small pleasures? A warm cup of tea, sunlight through a window, a familiar song. These moments don't disappear with age, but the ability to notice them sometimes does. If you still feel touched by simple joys, your emotional system is open rather than closed. That openness keeps you engaged with life. Now think about how you handle help. Can you accept it without feeling ashamed? Or do you resist it fiercely, even when it would make life easier? Aging well is not about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to lean and when to stand. If you can accept support without losing your sense of self, that balance is a sign of wisdom. Many people struggle here, and that struggle creates unnecessary stress. Another everyday indicator is how you manage your energy. Do you pace yourself, or do you push until you crash? People who age well often become better at listening to their limits. They rest before exhaustion, not after. That awareness preserves strength over time. If you've learned to stop before you're depleted, your body will thank you in the long run. Let's talk briefly about illness and recovery. When you get sick, how do you heal? Do you eventually return to your baseline, or does each illness take something permanent away? Many people in their 80s experience a step-down effect, where each setback leaves them weaker than before. If you tend to recover fully or close to it, that resilience is a strong indicator of biological age being younger than chronological age. Now consider your sense of identity. Do you still see yourself as a whole person or only as an old person? Labels matter. People who internalize age as limitation often decline faster. If you still see yourself as someone who lives, learns, and contributes, regardless of age, that mindset shapes behavior, and behavior shapes health. There's also something important to notice about how you end your day. When you lie down at night, do you feel a sense of closure? Or does your mind race with unfinished business and worry? Being able to mentally close the day is a sign of emotional regulation. It allows the nervous system to shift into rest. If you can let go, even imperfectly, your body enters sleep more easily. Now, as we move forward, I want you to understand something clearly. None of these signs exist in isolation. They form a pattern. And that pattern tells a story about how you've lived, how you've adapted, and how your body and mind have responded over time. Aging better than most 80-year-olds doesn't mean you're immune to change. It means you've preserved function, flexibility, and awareness in ways that truly matter. And here's the most hopeful part. These signs are not fixed traits. They can be protected, strengthened, and extended. Awareness is the first step. Once you see what's working, you can support it more intentionally. You can choose habits that preserve balance, clarity, and connection. You can stop comparing yourself to unrealistic standards and start appreciating what your body and mind are already doing right. In the next part, we'll gently bring all of this together. We'll talk about how these everyday signs connect, why they matter more than numbers or diagnoses, and how you can quietly reinforce them without turning your life upside down. Because aging well is not about fighting your age. It's about walking alongside it with respect, patience, and confidence. So stay with me. What comes next may help you protect the strengths you didn't even realize you still had.